So, a couple of short ones today, just to talk about the concert the little guy and I went to. So, we went to the Forum to see the Almost Acoustic Christmas, which was in the year 2000, my first um, journalistic assignment. I have a cool story behind that. So, at the time, I was the editor of the high school entertainment page for the high school paper, and my dumbass didn't know what I didn't know, and I had a lot of hubris. And also, though, um, I had a lot of um, conviction or belief in what I wanted to do. So I went and reached out to who was at the time the director of public relations at KROQ. His name is Mike Salas. And I think actually he's still with KROQ. But so shout out to Mike Salas. Anyways, Mike Salas entertained the hopes and aspirations of a then 17-year-old kid, and he entertained me, he amused me by asking me to um, put together a fax, which at the time was a big deal, right? Like, he asked me to be a grown-up and I just say, hey, I want to do this thing. So I called so here, I'll give you the story. So during the newspaper period, whatever period that was, I asked the faculty if I could go make a phone call in the teacher's lounge to call KROQ, right? So I went. I knew that I wanted to cover this event. I knew that I wanted to be a photojournalist, and like I said, I love music. Music is my first love, the thing that really saved my life. Without exaggeration. So I knew that I really wanted to do this, but I didn't know the first thing about what it meant to be in the industry, or what kind of risks people have to take to give you a shot in the industry. I just knew I wanted to do this. So I went to the teacher's lounge and I called 411. For those of you who remember what 411 was before the internet. And I said, I'd like the phone number for KROQ, but not the public number. I want the office number. So the operator put me through to Burbank. And when I got the person on the other end to pick up the phone, I said, I'd like to speak with the head of public relations. And she said, oh, something along the lines of, is Mike expecting your call? And I was always really clever, right? So I said, yes, Mike is expecting my call. Mike didn't know who the fuck I was or that I even existed. But they put me through to Mike, and Mike Salas, who I have tremendous affinity and respect for after all of my time in the industry. I appreciate so much what that guy did for me at 17, right? He took my call and I said, hey, I'm with the such and such newspaper. I write for my school publication, and I'd like to cover the Almost Acoustic Christmas as a feature piece for next month's paper. And I think he was trying really hard to not laugh in my face. And he was very polite and very gentle, which I as an adult now, I really appreciate. And believe it or not, is something that I carry with me when young people ask for things that they don't know are kind of unreasonable to ask for. So he said, well, I have to give MTV and Rolling Stone and the LA Times first dibs, but he said, I'm still working through all the press credentials. So why don't you shoot me a fax with the name of your publication, the print date, what you want to write about, what you want to cover. And if I have a pass for you, I'll let you know. And so this was about 3 weeks before the festival, maybe a month. They hadn't even announced the lineup yet. And he said, and that was one of the things he said to me, right? He said, we haven't even announced the lineup yet. So just, be patient. And so I did everything he asked. I put together a fax. I had my faculty's permission, and she sponsored my letter, and I sent it off. And then a Monday morning, they announced the lineups on Monday mornings, right, on Kevin and Bean at the time. So I called Mike again on Monday morning after they announced the lineup, and I said, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I heard the lineup today. It's really exciting. I'd love to be able to cover it, and can you let me know if that's a possibility? And he was amused, and he said, yeah, I'm still working on all the press credentials, but I got your fax, and I'll be in touch in a couple of weeks. Once I know more, I still have to sort through everybody that needs a credential. I said, okay, sounds good. So I left him alone for a couple of weeks, right? And then it was the Monday of the festival, right? The Monday of the concert. Concert was on Saturday. And this was going to be the biggest Almost Acoustic Christmas they'd ever done. It was at the Pond, and the lineup was stacked. And I called him, and I said, hey, Mike, just bugging you again to see if there's any news on the credential. And then, he chuckled, and he said, no, I'm still working on it, but I'll let you know. I'll give you a call on Friday if I have the room to give you a credential. I said, okay, cool. So it was so hard for me to be patient, but I waited. And then on Friday, I was like, man, if this guy, he's not going to call me, right? I have to call him. I have to follow up. So I called on Friday. I called again, and I said, hey, Mike, tomorrow's the show, and I know you're going to be busy. So I wanted to reach out and follow up and see if it was possible for me to do something on Friday or tomorrow on Saturday. And he laughed, and he said, all right, kid, how many passes do you need? And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna happen. What the fuck? Like I couldn't believe it. I said I'll take 2 if you can do it. And I took my friend Chris with me to the show. And all right, I had to step away for a second to pull up the proof, because I don't want you guys to think I'm fucking full of shit. So back to Friday. So he goes, how many do you need? And I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe that this shit was about to happen. So I said, I'll take 2 if you can swing it. And he goes, yeah, no problem, kid. I'll have 2 waiting for you at will call. And I couldn't fucking believe it. My jaw was on the floor, and I was over the moon, right? And of course I kept it. So here it is. KROQ Almost Acoustic Christmas press. It's hard to see, but shit, how come it's not? Wants to focus on me. 1999, Arrowhead Pond. So that was the first, it was like the second concert I'd ever been to. And it was the first festival I'd ever been to. And I couldn't couldn't begin to tell you guys how special that experience was. I met Dave Grohl. I didn't know what of course I didn't know what I didn't know. I was a fucking 17-year-old kid. So we were all corralled in the back. I'll get to that story in a second. But anyways, that started this kind of like one of my many careers. I've had a lot of opportunities in life, which I'm very grateful for. But for the next 2 years, I got to cover the Winnie Roast in 2000. Anyways, you'll have to believe me. The Winnie Roast in 2000. A Marilyn Manson concert that now in hindsight I'm not too proud of. A Limp Bizkit show. Again, back then this was like the shit that I was really into, right? So don't judge me for my shitty taste in music. And another Almost Acoustic Christmas that I had plastered onto this Beatles thing, but another Almost Acoustic Christmas the following year. And another Winnie Roast the year after that. That really began a very special journey for me, of being a photojournalist, or a photographer, photojournalist, and a journalist, writing about music and shooting music images. It was so special, and something I would love to do again. But all that said, again, big shout out to Mike Salas, because you got me started on this path, this career of wanting to work in the industry. And I've looked for you, believe it or not. I've looked for Mike over the years many times to say thank you, but I've been able to find him online. And from 2007 to 2021, 22, January 22. So from like September of 2007 to January of 22, I worked in the industry. I was a part of a team that built 2 concert venues. And then I was the project manager of the design and worked very closely with our consultants to design the sound and video and communication systems of these 2 venues. And I'm very, very proud of that work. And, we spent 4 years working on that. 2 on the design and construction, and 2 on the deployment and the install. And then from 2011 to 2021, 2022, I managed and operated the backstage operations of 2 world-class concert venues. I am proud that the consultant is the principal sound designer for the Hollywood Bowl, and that fine gentleman became my mentor in sound design and sound production. And he's won 6 Grammys, and one of the more joyous experiences of my life was being in his studio holding his Grammys and thinking to myself, one day I'll have one of these. He's just a brilliant sound designer, mixer, engineer, producer, and I was so lucky to have gotten to work and learn from him. But none of that would have been possible. That spark wouldn't have been lit, I don't believe, if Mike Salas hadn't given me my very first shot at experiencing the industry and given me this little badge here. Just means so fucking much to me. I really want to show it to you guys. There you go. Come on, you piece of shit. There we go. This thing means so much to me. This is like my big bang, This is my event horizon for my career, and my absolute passion and love for the industry. So The lineup was ridiculous that year. The lineup for the Weenie Roast was ridiculous. I've gotten an opportunity to shoot all of my favorite bands from the 90s. And all of this leads us to what happened yesterday. So my little guy had asked me to... I took my teenager to see Kendrick Lamar at the Pond, a few months ago when he was doing the Big Steppers tour. And I asked his little brother if he wanted to go, but he said no, he's not really into K-Dot like that. So he said, but I would like to go see Imagine Dragons when they're in town. So Imagine Dragons was headlining the Almost Acoustic Christmas last night. And I, of course, got his tickets and we went to the show. And we just had the best time together. It was just the two of us. And, I had an incredible time with his brother going to Kendrick. I had, and like such proud dad moment seeing my son standing next to me singing K-Dot's lyrics and listening to what Kenny was saying. I had just the most wonderful experience last night with my 10-year-old karaokeing in the car. And he had the aux and he was like, I'm going to play this song. And then he played this song. And it was the Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. And I was like, I love this song. And he's like, you know this song? It was so cute. And then he goes, well, how about this one? And then he played an Offspring song. And I was like, of course I know this song too. And we sang that. And then he's like, I bet you won't know this next one. And then he played some, oh my God, of course I'm forgetting the name of the artist. But anyways, I'll show you here. And I was like, yeah, I know this song too. And he was like, no way. And when we sang and we laughed and he talked to me about all this kinds of stuff and the things that he's passionate about and he loves and his art and his projects and school, and it was just so special. It meant so much to be able to do that with him. And when we got there, we had the obligatory danger dog. We can't go to a show without a danger dog. And we can't come home without a t-shirt. So we had a danger dog, got into the venue, ate. But as soon as we got there, this lady that worked at the venue was like, oh my God, you're so little and you're so cute. Is this your first concert? And he looked at her and he was like, no. And she was like, it's not? Oh my God. And he started laughing. And she's like, how many concerts have you been to? And he was like, I don't know, a lot. And again, that made me feel so fucking proud because, like I said, my second concert ever was the Almost Acoustic Christmas in 1999. And my first concert was just a few months before that. And my babies go to shows all the time. All kinds of shows. Whatever they want to see, whatever they want to watch, whoever they want to support. I'm happy to take them. I'm happy to give them those opportunities and that exposure. And it was so great to see my 10-year-old just be kind of like, I don't know, I've lost count. It was really special. And then we had some really delicious Mexican food that, believe it or not, I'm not bullshitting you. The food, there's a Mexican pop-up at the Forum, and they do really good carne asada. So because we've been to the Forum several times before, that was the place we knew we wanted to eat. And we got lucky. We got the last 3 carne asada tacos and the last 2 carne asada quesadillas, and then they were out of carne asada. So we were really glad we got there in time. And then we went inside and just enjoyed the show, and it got really late. By the time the Imagine Dragons got on stage, it was almost 11. But he loved it. He had a great time. He did fall asleep, which reminded me of one of my earliest concert experiences too, which was falling asleep to Primus because I was so tired. and I didn't care. I didn't really like Primus, and they were just like the middle act for the headliner, and I just passed out. It didn't matter how loud. Me and my friends were like, how the fuck could you sleep through that? But and that's what I felt about my baby yesterday. I was like, how the fuck can you sleep through this noise? But it reminded me of me too, so it was cute. And then he fell asleep for 2 songs, and then he perked right up, and then he powered through the rest of the night, and he was so hyped after. He had that post-concert buzz, that excitement, that tingle, and he stayed up until we got home. We drove all the way home, and we were just talking about the show, and we bought a shirt at the end of the night, and he was so grateful and so gracious, and it was a really special night. So here's some clips from last night, and I hope you guys all get to have these kinds of experiences too. And again, I can't say this enough. Thank you to Mike Salas, because he got what has been an incredibly rewarding career in the music industry off the ground by giving a 17-year-old a chance to do something that he had no rhyme or reason to be doing, for a high school newspaper, a publication that meant absolutely nothing, zero in the scope and the scheme of the coverage that they want and that they get. But he did it, like he said, because so I saw him the next day, right? I'll go into a little bit more of this. I saw him the next day at the show, and I said, hey man, I'm Sam from such and such. And he goes, oh shit, Sam. He goes, it's so nice to meet you. And I was like, yeah man, it's such a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you so much for letting me do this, And he goes, look, I'm not gonna bullshit you, kid. I only did this because you were so fucking stubborn, because you didn't relent, because you didn't give up, because you called me so many fucking times to check on the status of your credentials. It's the only reason that I finally gave in, is because I could see how much you wanted it. So, by the way, that's not very far removed from my experience in the career that I ended up having. And I can go into that after this little story. So I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know that I should be behaving. All I knew was that I wanted to get some great images, and I wanted to get a great story, and that I wanted to make great memories. So Dave Grohl pulls up backstage, and they have all of the photographers corralled into this like a herd cage for the photographers. And I remember thinking, I gotta get the fuck out of this cage. Like, I can't. It wasn't a literal cage, but it was like a stanchioned off area. And so Dave is walking past all the photographers, and they're just taking pictures of Dave backstage. And I was like, Dave! I fucking yelled out his name. I was like, Dave! And he looked over, and he saw this little fucking 17-year-old kid who was so excited to see him. And I had a camera around my neck, and I went over there, and I was like, can I get a picture? And I remember, I will never forget this moment. All the photographers looked so disgusted at this kid who was with them, asking one of his favorite musicians for a picture. And you know what, to all those photographers, fuck you, because I was a kid and I deserved to have that moment, right? Just the innocence of being a kid gave me the permission to have that moment. And I would never deny that moment to anybody, and much less a kid. So, and I'll share another story about that too. I have lots of stories. So Dave was super fucking chill. He was laughing his ass off, and he took a picture with me. It's a goofy ass picture. I have it somewhere. I'll share it some other time. And it was fucking awesome. And then he went off, and I was still thinking about how the fuck am I gonna get away from being corralled with all these people. I want to write an article. I need to see these bands. I need to hear these bands. I can't just be here taking pictures. So I was able to get myself to be kind of like, I would shoot with the photographers when it was time to shoot the first 3 songs. Back then it was 3 songs. I think now it's 2 songs. But back then it was 3 songs. I could shoot the first 3 songs. And then I talked to the security guard that kind of saw us exit, made sure we all exited. I said, hey man, I'm writing this article. I need to be able to listen to the music too and watch the music. So that guy was so chill. He helped me find a staffer from KROQ, and they were able to get me a ticket to be able to sit down and watch the show, or stay in the pit and watch the show. And then I would go back and forth. I would go in at the top of each song. I would kind of figure out when the last song was going to be, and I'd start walking towards the railing. I would pass the railing, go take my first 3 pictures, first 3 songs, and then after the first 3 songs, all the photographers would get sent off backstage, corralled somewhere, and I would go stand in the pit and listen to the songs and take notes and write this article. And I was able to tell in my article, in my story, I was able to tell a narrative of what the night was like, the experience of being an attendee. And it wasn't a music review, and it wasn't criticism. It was like, here's my experience as an attendee. It was amazing. And so thanks to that guy too for helping me out. So all in all, a great experience. And to talk about this, 2 things. My professional experience many years later, 11 years later, the same perseverance, the same I can fucking do this attitude pays off in strides. That's one, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then 2, the not denying a young person the experience of being excited because they get to see one of their musical heroes. I'll start with the second one. So we had Yo-Yo Ma at the venue, and I was, his liaison, and made sure that he needed, wherever he needed to go, I got him there. And I was the production manager, so it was my responsibility to make sure that anything that happened backstage got taken care of, and with somebody of his repute and caliber. We rolled out the extra effort, put out the the white glove treatment, as we would call it. And so I was not only doing my normal production manager duties, I was also kind of his concierge. So I'm walking him to all the different places where he's doing all the different VIP meet and greets. And then at the end of his VIP stuff, we're taking the elevator down, and the group of people that are with me are so eager to get a picture with Yo-Yo Ma. And as soon as we get off the elevator, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Ma, can we please have a picture? Oh, can you please sign my program?" Whatever. And again, no problem, right? The grown-ass adults, giddy and excited to be able to ask one of their musical heroes for a picture. So I let them ask for their pictures. He's very gracious. He takes a picture with every single one, signs all their autographs. And then he looks at me and he says, "Would you like a picture too?" And I knew he was wrapping up for the night. It'd been a long day of rehearsals, hours and hours of rehearsals. He's such a fucking pro. And then the concert where he leaves it all on the stage, just, pours everything into his performances. And then he had these 2 different VIP meet and greet experiences that he had to go through, where a lot of his bandwidth is also taken up and demanded of him. So I knew he was exhausted. I knew it was a long day. I knew it was the end of the day. And he was gracious enough to ask me if I wanted a picture too. And I remember how excited my staff was to get a picture with him, because they understood the magnitude of his being there. So I kindly expressed my gratitude and thanked him for the opportunity. But I said, I know you're tired, so I don't need to take a picture with you. But if you don't mind, the staff is super excited to have you here and to have met you and to have worked with you. So if you don't mind, on your way out, if you could stop and take a picture with the staff, they would be all very grateful. My staff was composed of 18 to 22-year-olds, right? And he said, oh, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And I left him at that point, and I went back to check on the receptions. And then I said my goodbyes, and that was it. I didn't see him for the rest of the night. I had other things to take care of, so I left him for the rest of the night. And later on in the evening, I went back downstairs, went backstage, checked in with my staff, and asked, hey, did Yo-Yo take a picture with you guys before he left? And they said, yeah, he was walking on his way out, and he said, hey, guys, can we get everybody together for a picture? And they were all so happy and grateful. And that moment right there, right? So not denying youth the excitement of taking a picture, not begrudging youth the excitement of meeting somebody they respect. That's where those of us that have the authority and the responsibility for whatever's going on should do whatever we can to protect that moment for the youth. And that's what those photographers owed me, not me, owed my youthful spirit in 1999. So to those guys who were grizzled and sneering and snarky at the fact that a 17-year-old was backstage making his fucking dreams come true, fuck you all. And I say that tongue-in-cheek, but also take it however you think you should take it. The first thing that I wanted to say about that attitude, though, that persistence, is I had done one half day. I didn't even make it through the full period, the full 50 minute period. So I had maybe 25 minutes of theater experience in my life, because in high school I decided I was going to join the theater program and do the production side, and it was not for me, right? I did not like the theater kids. I thought they were a bunch of fucking weirdos. A little did I know that those were my people, those were my weirdos, but I didn't know it at the time. To me at the time, they were just a bunch of fucking weirdos. So I left halfway through the class, and I went to the counselor's office, and I got moved to something else. Here I am, 11 years later, 12 years, 13 years, whatever it was. And it's 2011. And we've done 2 years of construction, 2 years of design, 2 years of installation. And I have, in my experience now, 10 years of sound mixing, sound production experience, more like 14 years probably. But still no experience actually running a venue, right? Only the experience of I know how to mix. And I've been picking this brilliant man's brain for the last 4 years. So it's time to open the venue. And I remember going to the person who would eventually become my boss, and I said, listen, I know that I don't have any experience in running a venue and being a production manager, but I know I can do it. I just need the chance. I need the shot. And I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. And I'm asking you if you will help me on that journey too. But I'm asking you for the opportunity. I need a chance to show you that I can do this. And I put together a proposal. I put together my best argument for why I was the right person for the job. I, after all, did design those systems. I spent 4 years working hand in hand with these consultants, designing every aspect of those systems. I knew them like the back of my hand. And I said, I can do this. And, he was reluctant. We were opening this $70 million venture. It had to be right. It had to be good. And we knew we were going to have world-class artists there. And here I was, fucking 28-year-old kid asking to be left with the responsibility of making sure that the vision of the leadership was executed properly. And I'm saying to these people, I don't have the experience to do it, but I know that I can do it. And I showed up every day after work and put in hours, put in volunteer hours, opened boxes, hauled gear left and right, up and down 4 flights of stairs. Every day for 3 months, I showed up backstage to a place that was not my job. And I said, I want to help. And for 3 months, I asked every day, so have you thought about it? What do you think about it? What do I need to do to show you that I am the person for this job? For 3 months, from January 1 or December, whatever it was, the last 2 weeks of December, until March. And then on March 11th, I got a call. Hey, can you come to my office? I went down there and they said, I'd like to offer you the position of, production manager. It wasn't called that at the time, but that's what it became. And it wasn't called that because they needed to cover their ass, right? They said, we're going to make you the associate. And I remember thinking at the time, it's associate to who? There's nobody else. I am the fucking person that's going to do this. But I understood, I knew enough to know that that was their way of covering their ass. If I didn't work out, if I didn't make it, if I failed, they could call somebody else in to do the job. So I knew that. I knew I had to prove myself. So for 1 year, I busted my ass and I proved myself. And I did that, for fucking my entire tenure there. But I busted my ass. I proved myself. And then in a year's time, I asked, can we get rid of this associate nonsense? Because I'm doing the job. And it was like a snap of the fingers. Yeah, you're right. We're doing it. And it was done. But anyways, so the thing that 17-year-old kid brought to the table and said to Mike Salas, please let me do this. That 17-year-old kid brought it to the table again as a 28-year-old kid and said, I can do this. And I was resourceful, and I was resilient, and I was stubborn, and I was persistent, and it paid off. And thanks to these two gentlemen taking a risk on me, I was able to live out my dreams of working in the industry and doing something meaningful in the industry. So I appreciate these two gentlemen taking the risk on me. I appreciate my mentor taking the risk on me. I appreciate my other mentor teaching me so much about being a professional in the music industry, and being one of the I don't take this lightly. I know it's silly because I'm doing this, with a fucking cable plugged into my phone, but I am one of the best sound mixers in California, without a doubt. And I only confident and able to say that because I learned from the best. So all of these experiences have been incredibly rewarding. And now I get to share these moments with my boys. And we had a great time. So here's our recap of our night at the Almost Acoustic Christmas. Shout out to KROQ. Shout out to Mike Salas. Shout out to Fred and David and Arch and everybody else that has made this journey just so fucking special. So every time we go to a show, we have to get a danger dog, which is a bacon wrapped hot dog topped with grilled onions, peppers, jalapenos, mustard, mayo, and ketchup. It's fucking delicious. If you've never had one, you're missing out. And next time you're in LA at a concert or downtown LA, get yourself a danger dog. Once we got past security and everything, we beelined for the taco spot at the forum.
Where we at, bro?
So we were looking for it.
The forum?
Walking around.
The forearm? Isn't that the thing you hit with in volleyball?
It was such a nice time to just be hanging out.
With the ball in
So I was really excited about spending the night together. This is the only reason we went to the show, is for him to check out Imagine Dragons, which is something he'd been looking forward to for a while.
Alright, so we've been looking forward to these tacos, huh, since we came for AEW? That's when we got them last time? And we got the last carne asada for the whole day, huh? So I got the tacos, and what'd you get? Quesadillas. Alright, cheers.
I can never get enough of this dude's face when he's enjoying food. It's my favorite thing in the world. Just the way he just loves food, loves life. He's the best.
You happy with your choice? It's good? Yeah?
Bussin'.
Yeah. A little messy?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Not bad for venue food, huh? Thanks for hanging out with me. We're gonna have a good time, huh?
So at this point, we start hearing music playing, so we decided to start finding our way to our seats. There was a handful of bands before Imagine Dragons that
We're on our way to find our
thought
seats.
would be good for him to enjoy
Yeah.
too.
Who'd you come here to see?
So we were walking and eating, trying to get to
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine
where we
Dragons?
were going. Wow,
That's all you wanted to see, right?
which was very delicious. We both really enjoyed our food.
All done?
So, as you can
So
see,
good.
Yeah.
quesadillas. And
Wish
he
they
said
had
he
more
wished
stuff.
that he had
Yeah.
even more time. So, all in all, so far the night has been pretty fun. And exactly what I hoped. Like I said, it was at this point somebody asked if they had been to another concert before, if this was his first concert, and he was like, "No, I've been to a bunch," which made me really happy. We had this really cool NFT, which was a snow globe of the Almost Acoustic Christmas logo, and so he downloaded it, and it was pretty cute. Here we go.
We can never
Showtime.
swear on the radio, so I just wanted to say we're so fucking happy to be here. Are you ready for it?
God damn, we missed you. This next band.
Up first was Jimmy Eat World. Well, they weren't the openers, but they were the first band we saw. And this is what happens when you only came for Imagine Dragons. Concerts going on, but Star Wars Day goes. It's more important. So that was pretty funny to me. Up next, it was Social Distortion, which I am hard pressed to remember if I've ever seen live before or not. So this was pretty cool, and the little dude got to see us first. Oh, that's not right. We were at a Queens of the Stone Age show, so he had seen a mosh pit before, but still cool. Social D was really good, and it was nice to hear a band that, you know, been listening to for 20 years, and again, couldn't remember if I'd seen them live before or not, so it was nice to say that I could finally get a chance to do so. A thing we really got a kick out of was the rotating stage. It's called the turntable for obvious reasons, and
I hope you have the best time tonight. We love you so much. And now, for one of my all-time favorite bands,
as he
please
very astutely
welcome
pointed
the
out,
Black
one band could be
Keys.
playing while the other band could set up behind the stage. After Social D was the Black Keys, who, again, another band that I've been listening to for a long time but have never seen live. So that was cool. They did a great job. They played a really good set, and I would 100% watch them again live. in fact, it might be fun to go see them when they're not a part of a festival lineup, so they can see more of their set. It was cool that they had a backing band, but it was still very much focused on just the two leads. At this point, the little guy's starting to kind of wear down. It's been a long day, and he's just waiting for Imagine Dragons. You know, that's what he came here for. So I think the Black Keys had one song that he recognized, so he was kind of singing along to that. And then this is towards the end of the Black Keys set. He's just getting hyped for Imagine Dragons, because again, that's what he came here for. So I have a really terrible tendency to not be able to just enjoy a show for what it is, and I always have to look at the production value. So this rigging is extensive, it's impressive. Rigging has always been the trade that I was most nervous about performing. It's life safety, everything's hanging over people's heads. It's no joke. You have to take it very, very seriously. And so I always appreciate when I see really extensive and complex rigging. The obligatory lights out, cell phone light picture or video, it's always one of my favorite things to experience at a show. So overall, Black Keys were great, and production values were great. And I can't see the little guy. Here we go, we're getting close to showtime. I could tell the anticipation was really killing him. I think at this point the band was being introduced. So here we go. As soon as Imagine Dragons comes out, here comes the cell phone. And I had unintentionally interrupted his recording of the first song, so I was told to shush. And after the first song, I was told, when I'm recording, you can't talk to me. You messed up my video. So that was pretty hilarious. He recorded the entire set. It was awesome. And it reminded me of a young me bootlegging an entire Green Day video when I snuck a little JVC camcorder in a pocket in a jacket that I a hole that I cut in my jacket's lining, so I could sneak a camera into the Irvine Meadows to record an entire Green Day set in like the year 2000 or something. So thankfully we don't have to cut holes in our clothing anymore, but the tradition doesn't die. We record whole ass concerts, and much better quality than I had with my little JVC mini DV camcorder. And believe it or not, the next day he watched the entire show all over again when we got home, or the next day when we were at home. This, to me, it was just so cute that he was just so intent on kind of remembering this moment. And this smile, that smile just means everything to me. I would go to the ends of the earth for that smile. So it was such a special moment, beautiful moment for me to share this experience with my little baby. And you know, they get older fast, they grow up so fast. He's already 10, not a baby anymore, but still my baby, forever my baby. And the fact that, you know, he beat me by 8 years to the Almost Acoustic Christmas is special to me, and it means everything. Like I said in the intro, you know, this concert is so special to me because it's the beginning, it would really the beginning of my career in the industry. And I was so happy that the little guy and I could share his first experience at the Almost Acoustic Christmas. After a couple of songs, I was handed the phone and I was put on camera operator duty. So here I was, and it was up to me to hold this camera and make sure that I didn't miss a single video, not a single song, Dad. He was so pooped at this point, he passed out for 2 songs. I think he missed 2 songs, but he was just so tired. It was pretty fucking late. The band didn't go on until about 11. So he took a little snooze, which is fine. I've mentioned that I passed out during Primus. So he took a little snooze, and I had to make sure that I didn't miss a single song. And at this point, it was his favorite song. It was a part of anime that he really likes. So this is the song that introduced him to Imagine Dragons. We had to listen to the song. So I woke him up in a hurry, and you could see he's still half glazed over, but mouthing off the words to this song because it's the song he really wanted to hear. And but after that, he perked right up. I thought he would maybe pass out again, but he perked right up and enjoyed the rest of the show, wide awake. It was a trip to experience this with him and hearing him sing, enjoying himself. There's no audio in these clips because I don't want to get flagged by YouTube, but it was just so special. And like I said, the next day he came home, watched the video, or not he came home, but the next day at home he watched the videos. And even though I recorded every single song, I still got complaints that, hey, are you sure you recorded every single song? Because I think there was a couple songs missing. And I had to reassure him that I did in fact record every single song for him. And that was it, the end of the night. We made it to the end. We had a great time.
How was that? Did you have fun? Yeah?
Thank you for asking me if I wanted to come here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming.
The band was awesome. I would 100% watch him again. And he was super gracious and grateful. He's just the best. And
I know, right?
Finally got to see your band, huh? Mm-hmm. It was a good show?
I was asleep half the time.
It's really late, right?
Yeah.
It's way past bedtime. But you had a good time?
I was like, when is this next song?
What songs were you looking forward to the most?
Enemy.
Enemy? When you woke up just in time, huh?
You woke me up.
Yeah. All right, love you. You ready to go?
then I had to, scope out the
Look at all that
rigging and the production one more time because I can't go home without being a nosy neighbor. So it was great. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Oh, down there?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Because it started at like what, 3 or something?
All right, you gotta tell me what you made first.
It's
Describe it. Where are you going?
here.
Oh, you can't see this. Okay, go ahead.
It's like one of those infinite cube things.
Okay.
It's like that, but it's not a cube.
Yeah. All right, let's go. How long did this take you?
Like 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Wow. You just made this, huh? Origami?